Hello, this is Mike Trueblood, sports editor of the Register Mail, here with Aaron Frey, our sports writer, talented young sports writer, I should say. I hear you're up for Rookie of the Year this year at the Register Mail.
I'm not sure there's much competition, but
well, there's a lot of rookies up there. But we're here with a thing we're doing regularly on our webpage, talk about sports each week, and we want to make this a weekly thing. We'll hope you'll check us out on a regular basis. And as you and Zach Krieglow did last week, the main topic is Illinois playoff football and the teams from our area that are still alive in the playoffs, and we're going to do that again this week. Aaron, you got to see a couple of games last week. We had two teams eliminated, United and Monmouth Roseville were knocked off in that first week, and then we'll talk about a little later the two teams that are still left, North Fulton and I'm drawing a blank here, Bushnell Prairie City Avon is still alive. We'll talk about them in a minute, but tell me, was there anything that surprised you last week about the games you saw?
Not many big surprises last week. They kind of all played out just about as I expected. United had a very tough draw going up to Princeville and playing the Princes. It's a team they're familiar with, but without Anna Mullen, they just didn't have a very good chance in that game, I didn't think, and it showed with the score. I believe it was 40-6. And then Monmouth Roseville going up to Sterling Newman, and they just got outmanned up there against a very similar team, but they just weren't in the class as Newman on that day. So not many big surprises, and the two teams we have left, I picked them to win. So it was a good week for me last week.
Just tell me, just off the top of your head, of the games this weekend with North Fulton playing polo, and we've got Moments at Bushnell against the Spartans. Mm-hmm. Do you think these teams have a good chance this week?
These are both very good matchups. I think they're both going to be at 2 p.m. on Saturday, so a little afternoon football. And North Fulton, I think, has a very good matchup again, like they did last week. Polo comes in here. They beat Hayworth 26-16 last week, and they're very much a ground-oriented team. They run a double tight end set. They don't put the ball up very much. They've thrown maybe 40 passes this season. Last week against Hayworth, they got the ball back with just under 10 minutes left, and they had it till the whistle blew to end the game. So that tells you how much their ground game controls the clock, and what they're capable of with their rushing attack. The big key for North Fulton in this game is stopping Polo quarterback Matt Scholl. He's got close to 1,600 yards this year. He's really the key to their offense, and they run a lot of stuff through him, a lot of options, a lot of fakes. So he'll be the guy that North Fulton wants to stop.
You did a couple stories in our newspaper today previewing these games, and the story about the North Fulton Polo game, you talked a little bit about why in these last few weeks North Fulton has really exploded on the ground, really cranking up some yardage. So I think you said that the reason is they've finally got their line back together and intact again.
Yeah, they had about 6 straight weeks where they had either injuries or suspensions or kids getting sick. Against Aledo, they had about 8 kids just get the flu that week, and it really decimated their line. You don't get that sense of continuity. But since then, since week 7, they've just been blowing teams away, on the scoreboard and with their ground game. And the other thing was they spent the first part of the season kind of experimenting with their offense a little bit. They went to the air a lot more than I thought they would, and a lot more than I thought they should. Since then, they've got close to 1,600 yards rushing in 4 games. Derek Higgins has 800-plus yards in 4 games, and they're really, really going well on the ground. And it all starts with that front line, and in small school football, that's the big difference.
I see both teams are 7-3. We're talking about North Fulton and Polo. North Fulton seeded 14 and Polo 11. Now, when we go on to the next game, Bushnell Prairie City Avon at 7-3 is seeded number 9, and they're going against the number 1 and Moments at 9-1. Now, last week we had that situation with North Fulton taking on number 1 and Alden Hebron, what is your impression about the seeds? I mean, do they meet that much in the postseason?
I think when it comes to Moments, their seed is a little bit more respectable than Alden Hebron last week. Alden Hebron played a very weak schedule. Moments, they've played, I think it's 6 teams in the playoffs, and they went 5-1 against those teams. They had, I believe, 40-plus playoff points. So they played a very, very tough schedule, and they're a very worthy #1 seed, I think.
Okay. I know Bushnell sort of had a inauspicious way of going into the playoffs with a loss on that last week, and maybe you talked about this a little bit last week. But what are they doing well here as they get into the playoffs?
Just like North Fulton, their line is their key on offense and defense. They have just an enormous offensive line. They average about 6'2", I think close to 240. They have some big kids down there. They feed them well. And the key for them is going to be getting penetration with their offensive line and getting penetration with their defensive line as well. And that's going to be big against Moments, because Moments threw for over 300 yards last week. And that was something that Bushnell saw a little bit last week against Fieldcrest. Fieldcrest put the ball up a lot. They gave up a lot of yards, but they managed to make enough plays in the end to get a victory.
Are you going to go out on a limb and make some picks in these games?
I like North Fulton in their game. I think that's a very good matchup for them. Again, they have a long bus ride again this week, close to over 3 hours this time, so a little bit shorter, but still a long way to go. Bushnell, I see this being a very close game, but I don't know if they can, if their secondary can make enough plays for the second week in a row. It'll be very good. I think Moments is going to pull it out in a close one.
Well, we throughout the season we've run our football picks in our newspaper every week, and I'll give the fans a little preview here that all the people on our little panel picked North Fulton to win this weekend. Everyone picked Moments to win except me, and I picked Bushnell. And maybe that was just to be different, but I guess I was going on the precedent of North Fulton last week knocking off a #1 seed, and with Bushnell being at home, I thought they may be able to do it this week. So that's why I made that pick. But how do they decide? Usually in basketball and some other sports, the team with the higher seed gets the home game. How did that happen at Bushnell?
It's all kind of a very convoluted process. The IHSA, they have so many goofy things that a lot of people may not understand. If a lower seeded team goes on the road and wins their game in the first round, then they will almost always get a home second round game as sort of a reward for that. So North Fulton, which actually went on the road and won as well, they did not get a home game because Polo also went on the road, and now Polo is the higher seed, so they get to host the game.
Okay. Well, I think that about wraps it up for our high school weekend. Hopefully we'll be back here next week talking about some more football if one or more of these teams can come through. And then of interest area fans, I know this weekend is the big Knox-Monmouth football game. Our local colleges will be playing each other over in Monmouth. That's 1 o'clock Saturday afternoon. Of course, Monmouth is undefeated and already clinched a berth in the Division III playoffs, and coming off some pretty big wins here the last couple of weeks. They've rolled up, I think it was 69 points and 78 points the last couple of weeks. So they're looking pretty impressive as this season winds to a close. Any opinions on that game? I know Monmouth has to be heavily favored. But
we'll see how long Knox can keep it close. I don't know if it'll be very long.
But one thing I do know that playing Illinois College last week, they were a passing team too, so that they gave the ball pretty quickly and gave Monmouth more opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
Knox, running that spread option, might be able to control the ball a little bit more and keep the scoring down a little bit. But other than that, they're going to have to play some pretty good defense to keep Monmouth under wraps. So
it's a big uphill battle.
Yeah. Like I said, this is going to be a weekly feature on our on Galesburg.com in the sports section. So hope you'll check us out every week, and we'll be back again next week.